Hey there, comic book friends. I'm Travis. It's time for their comic book roundtable. And I'm back with the usual crew. Luke and Mike, how's it going, guys?
Excellent.
Awesome. Here we went from it being summer to it's, trying to snow around me. So we'll. So anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. All the reason to hunker down and talk comic books, right? So
yeah, comic book weather. Yes.
Yes, exactly. So we've once again flipped the imaginary three-sided coin, and we're going with DC first this week. Talk some DC books. What do we want to talk about first? Of course, I have my usual slog. I don't think I have them all anymore. I have started dropping some of them.
Green Arrow? I think we all got Green
Arrow. Green Arrow, issue number 8, Island of Scars, part 1.
Yeah. I think the missing ingredient in his when he was having trouble was Black Canary, because the dialogue between Canary and Ollie I thought was super strong in this issue.
Mm-hmm.
Where he opens his mouth and inserts his foot and he can't figure out how to say the right things to her. I think that's just awesome.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, it's good conversation and seemingly realistic conversation, right? Trying to impress the girl and just digging a deeper hole as he goes along, kind of a thing. And continue to point out, where Ollie comes from versus where other people come from. I mean, because he comes from affluent, rich, people, and not everybody else does. So, I don't know, the comment of her being in foster care, that surprised me, because I guess I don't remember that aspect of Black Canary's life. I thought she lived with mom and dad, and I know things happen to those parents at some point, but I don't know. I guess maybe that part doesn't matter.
Well, it's just
read real quick. Like, it was like a real quick read, and not really like a bad thing, but it was like, I think less than 5 minutes it took me.
Yeah. That's going to be my comment with a lot of these books this week. It seems like a lot of the DC books suddenly felt really uncompressed. Like, we're going to spend our 20 pages covering the equivalent of about 15 minutes a time. You're kind of a thing, or that's how it felt. I mean, I know more time passes here than that. Right. They establish clearly there's something else going on in the island in this. There's different players on the island, and stuff. But yeah, you're right. It was that way for me too. It read really quick. It was like, oh, I'm done, kind of a thing. I enjoyed it though. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't like it, but it was a pretty fast read.
Right.
I'm curious about what's on the island, but.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And for a minute, I almost thought it was sort of like a mirage. Like, I know he says it's a mirage, but it's just like, you start to read it and you feel like it's like he's been on the island for a little bit, and then we've seen Black Canary come. Literally looks like she's like coming right out of the water, like she's just now getting to the island. And Diggle, it seems like he's been there for a minute. So, and that's just a nitpicky thing. I thought for a minute, she didn't. I don't know. Didn't know if that was really her or not.
Sure. I mean, even after he makes the mirage comment, that's why I kept waiting. I kept waiting for it to suddenly, this is like being on a vacation. I kept waiting for the blinders come off and him be all, sitting there, the big long bushy beard, like he's been there for months or something, and he's losing it or something. It's kind of what I, was kind of expecting to at some point. Yeah. Interesting that they still have Diggle kind of off doing his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
They continue to use him in the comic book, which I'm quite honestly, I'm surprised they even chose to put that character back in the book again. Kind because with this comic, they can't be catering to the TV show, right? I mean, it doesn't match up real well, but
I think the writer likes that character, though.
yeah, what? Yeah, that could be. But I don't got anything against the character. I like his representation, what little we've seen of it in this. But yeah, there's a lot of these kind of, you showed that one. There's a lot of these kind of, long, only a few words, big, gorgeous,
Well,
heavy petting kind of pictures. Right?
Yeah, and especially, I mean, like with Ott doing, I mean, a big, just a kiss here.
It's a pinup. It's a pinup. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I need more Cyber Bear, though. But...
yeah. Yeah. So our issue is there's too much lovey-dovey and not enough action. Is that our... Well, I don't know. Like I said, I enjoyed it. But as we go through a lot of these DC books, I guess I this week I really felt all the stories felt really decompressed to me. Like we didn't get a lot of story for it being there, at least in the issues that are twice a month.
Yeah.
But I still like Otto Schmidt's artwork. I mean, even if it is the pinups and whatnot, I still really enjoy it. And I'm liking it. What do you guys think of suddenly all of these books have these titles at the top of it now? Everything seems to have a named arc to it, just about.
I
think it's kind of nice. It'll be easier in recollecting if you're a little late.
Sure. Well, that's true. Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they've suddenly made this choice to start naming, on the cover the arcs that are there and whatnot, which I don't know is a bad thing. I don't mind, word bubbles or whatever on my thing, but
I wish they kind of did that in that Spider-Man. I'm not Spider-Man, Jesus. The Superman story they ended with in the New 52, where they actually all the Superman titles got crossed into. I would like to kind of see that.
Oh, right.
I mean, especially title.
Yeah, I mean, like with yeah, sure. Like if nothing else, with the Monster Men book that I'm sure we'll talk about, they clearly tell you on the cover what number they are, so there's no question about what order to be reading it in. So you're not going, because sometimes these crossovers are that way. If they come out in the same week, it's like, you're on Twitter, writing to the writer going, which one are we supposed to be reading first? Kind of a thing. So they've had problems with that in the past. So yeah. So that is true. That is true. Anything else we want to say about Green Arrow? But I think you're right, Mike. I mean, for me, that's definitely there's that Ollie is with Percy writing it. He's a much more interesting character with being able to bounce off of Black Canary than like the stuff we were reading prior to the Rebirth. I think it does feel like it's the missing link.
Yeah, because I remember the Werewolf run or the Mexico run. Mm-hmm. His female character wasn't very good, and their interaction. He was trying to create tension, I guess, between them, or she was poor and he was rich. This one, I don't know if it's because Canary's been fleshed out so much that he uses it properly, or if it's just he really connected with this one.
Yeah. That's a good point. Which is it? Yeah. Sure. What else want to talk? What other DC books want to talk about?
You just want to go ahead and do the Night of the Monster Men?
Sure. Let's talk
Batman and
Nightwing, all right?
Yep.
So, Batman first, yeah?
Yeah, which I really like the Tim Sale variant.
Yes. So we're starting the second half of the Night of the Monster Men arc. What do we think?
Mm-hmm. As an arc as a whole, I think this is one of those ones where it's okay. I mean, it's not fantastic. This issue in particular, just Duke, I just like, ugh. Like I just want to see. I'm not. Batman gets chumped. He punks him. Duke punks Batman. He's just totally insubordinate. It's just like, never mind. Cross that. This might, I think, be one of the better issues I think of Rossmo's art, though. I really did enjoy the art in this one.
One thing I want to say about the art, because like Rossmo's art, as a general rule, I hate his design for the bat bikes. Those wedges. Those wedge. I mean, I don't know. To me, that just and like I said, love Rossmo. Own multiple pages of his work. Have chatted with the guy lots of times. He's really cool and whatnot. And it just to me looks like a really lazy design. I'm just gonna draw a triangle and put a half a wheel under it and call it a motorcycle. I don't know. It just bugged me. It bugged me. Now, do I need something that's so gearheady like later on next year we're gonna see Sean Murphy is gonna be doing some Batman, and I guarantee you the car, the motorcycle, if we see those things, they're gonna be just nuts because Murphy's into vehicles. I mean, that's something he just likes. But I'm not even asking for that. But I mean, I don't know. It really felt like a fourth grade motorcycle. I don't know. It bugged me. And because they put such a focus on it in the story, I can't remember if it's the Batman issue or if it's the Nightwing issue. They're using it like a rocket and stuff as flying wedge.
Batman.
Yeah.
That was tough.
I thought Clayface made the perfect boy wonder. I want him to just team up with Batman. I'd like to see that book come out all the time. Joker can hit him as many times as he wants with the crowbar. It's not going to hurt him.
The only thing they were missing was Batman yelling, "Shape of a suit."
Yes.
Form of, I don't know what else. Unicycle.
Yep.
Okay, here's my thing on that. They better start using Clayface more than just as a tool. Because right now, other than a few moments in the detective book, where they had that conversation with like in the movie theater where he's just trying to get a little bit of his life back and whatnot, which was a great moment. Otherwise, what has Clayface been in any of these books that they've had him in? He's literally a living piece of the utility belt, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not liking that. I think it feels lazy to me. Well, let's just find cute ways we can mold a clay guy into something and not have him have any real value beyond that. I mean, they toyed with us for an issue with I don't know if I can keep it together, trying to be all these policemen. And I thought, that's going to be interesting. Maybe we'll see him, fall apart at the seams or whatever. Nope. That worry got dealt with. He's pulled himself back together and is now a living bat suit for a couple panels. Because, we don't have enough Bat Bunny in our lives, so they got to give us, the mud suit too. I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's kind of a cool idea, if you have the ability to suddenly use him as a shell. But at the same time, from a let's do something with the character standpoint, it frustrated me. Anything else you want to say about it?
I think Gotham Girl, I mean, I don't know. I might be the only one, but I think as time goes on, I'm starting to kind of open up to her a little bit more.
I think she's the most interesting character. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, you would think she'd have a shelf life just because basically when you use her power, she slices off time life. But I think it's probably one of the better parts of this story is this really what she's been doing.
Yeah, I like her too. Of course, Luke, I think that the problem is going to be for you is that they're folding her in more and more to Duke. So getting more of her is going to equivocate to getting more of him. Just like I can't seem to get much Stephanie Brown unless Drake is attached to her, which is kind of a bummer for me. But yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, I kind of like the character. I have the same issues with this that I had the last weeks when we talked about the Monster Men stuff. I still think there's aspects of these characters that the writer Orlando is writing, I just think weird. The constant use of people's actual, God-given names and whatnot, it just, to me, is just as strange as all could be. Those aspects of it just feel really odd. But I don't know. I'm not excited by this thing. I'm not hating it, but I'm not excited by it any means. Mm-hmm. If somebody were asking me, when this is coming out in trade, should I pick that up? By issue 4, I'm saying, no, there's no reason to pick this up.
Because didn't he even figure out that it was Psychopirate was traded to Bane, Venom for the monsters? So, I mean, it's even setting up now for the next crossover or next arc or whatever they're going to do. I mean, it's
not the next crossover, but go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
No. That's what I'm asking. Is it just the next arc? It's not a crossover or anything?
No, it's not crossover. It's setting up the next arc. It's setting up the next arc for Batman.
All right.
Because in Batman, he's still working on who did the stuff to Gotham Girl and stuff like that. And so, I mean, I guess to some degree I appreciate that they're keeping some parts of the thread moving. So the whole thing so far, 8 issues through, has some consistency. It's not like we finished up an arc and now that what happened in that first arc is meaningless for what's going forward. I mean, it's still a part of their lives. When they come out the other side of this, my understanding is that Batman's gathering up his own version of the Suicide Squad from the halls of Arkham to then go down and deal with Bane.
Okay.
Because that's what they're hiding out at or whatever, or Bane's the main culprit or something. I'm not sure how this whole thing squares away, because clearly by the end of rolling into the next Monster Man thing, Nightwing, are we done talking Batman?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So we roll into the Nightwing issue, which I actually like the cover for the Nightwing one. I mean, I don't know how excited I am about these two characters being monsters briefly, but that cover looks kind of cool. Was there a variant cover for that you got, Luke?
No.
Okay. But towards the end of this issue, right, we get, thank God, Hugo Strange is putting on clothes finally. He's suiting up to deal with Batman by the end of the issue. Mm-hmm. Batman's going to meet him one-on-one, and Hugo is doing the bat again. So now I know what I can go for Halloween trick-or-treating. I just got to buy a Batman costume and I can go as Hugo Strange. Right? Yeah. I don't know if I have anything particular to say about this issue. Do you?
No, I mean, I think it was good to see. I mean, that was a nice throwback, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Strange. The way Dick connects everything together with the sessions he was having with those patients. I thought that was a little bit of a stretch, how he kind of put it all together. Like, he's after you. I got that. But I guess the biggest,
his leaps of logic.
This is kind of like but maybe I'm not going to say this is a critique of the story as a whole, but I think it ends next issue.
Yeah.
So we're only going to get
in detective
one issue with So you're going to get one issue with Hugo Strange. You would think at the major part of the issue, and it's the last one. Maybe I would like to kind of see 2 issues of that. So either maybe shut off an issue from the other one, so you kind of give this a little bit more depth to it. But it's just Hugo. He's the mastermind of all this. I just think he's just getting kind of rushed.
Well, that's if this whole Monster Man thing ends the next issue and they clean it all up. Knowing what the next arc of Batman's going to be anyway, I'm not sure that actually happens. I think Nightwing's book will go back to doing Nightwing things. I think the detective book is going to go back to doing detective like what it has been. And I think the Batman's going to continue on with the core of what is happening. This Monster Man thing is just kind of an effect that they chose to spend 6 issues kind of talking about, I think. I don't know that we're going to, in that next issue detective, I don't know that we're going to catch Hugo. Maybe Hugo bails and goes down with Bane.
Right.
Why else would they be going after Bane? I mean, because is Bane the main culprit or was Hugo the main culprit?
I mean, I think Bane's the one that facilitated, but I think Hugo's the one that was the mastermind and all behind it.
Right. And maybe they will. Maybe the next issue, Batman shows up and in a couple pages, thumps on Hugo. Just because Hugo's pumping iron doesn't mean he suddenly has the skill set to go fist to cuff with Batman. So he's gonna get rolled by Batman and thrown back into Arkham, and then they're gonna go on with whatever's next. Or even more interesting, he picks Batman, Hugo Strange, to be on his Suicide Squad team. So there's 2 Batman running around, one with a beard. And yeah, right? I don't know. I just don't feel like that the underlying story for Batman is going to end with the Monster Men thing. I think the other issues it's going to, but the Batman main title, now he's going on to the next part of that because he's still. I mean, because this is all still kind of blowout from, the Gotham and Gotham Girl and all that kind of stuff. It's still part of that, right? Really?
Right.
So, I mean, so it is its own story, but it's tied to the larger
So
story.
I have to ask you guys, for you guys collecting Nightwing, you've read up all these issues and then this arc hits. If you were just reading Nightwing, would this really feel like it messed up your collection?
Messed up my collection? No. Made any sense in the grand scheme of things? No. You don't get nothing for. I mean, this issue literally ends. I mean, the last couple pages are this, Batman talking with the crew and, somebody's dressing up. And then your final page really is a cliffhanger, dun, dun, dun. There's Hugo putting on a bat suit. That's it. Next issue of Nightwing, he's going to be, I don't know, doing Nightwing things. And you're like going,
That's what I was wondering.
I mean, this issue, like Luke says, this issue, Nightwing does a little more of the connecting the dots. He's a little more focused as far as him kind of being the person who's in front facilitating most of what's going on in it. So you can say it's a Nightwing issue. But no, these 2 issues are I don't know. Well, okay, so Mike, you only got the 2 Batman issues. Do you feel like you got a complete story out of that?
No.
Right. So any of these, I think any one of these, if you were only collecting one of the books, you'd be scratching your head.
Okay. All right.
So it's one of those kind of things it's one of those kind of things as a collector, you buy it because it's part of the collection. You don't want, a gaping hole in the middle of your thing if you're one of those kind of collectors, which I unfortunately tend to be a lot of the times. And then you go on to the next, and you hope the next thing's gonna be better, But that's comic books anyway, though, to some degree, right? You get some bad story arcs and you get some, hopefully some better story arcs along the way. So.
Man, again, as a whole, this isn't bad. I mean, maybe it seems like I'm kind of trash. It's not bad. It's not great either. It's
not good. Yeah. I'll call it as that. I'm not. I mean, it's whatever. I mean, art's okay, but I could miss this and not have been upset at all. And like I said, if anybody asked me, "Oh, hey, is this an event I should buy this in a trade?" No.
All right, I agree with you.
No. I mean, that'd be my opinion on it. Whereas somebody asked me, the Court of Owls, something or other, or hell, even I would recommend 0 Year before this, because despite all the things I don't like about the 0 Year stuff, there's a lot of complicated things in that if you're into Batman, you can get into those complicated things. You might find it frustrating at the end, but it's not just this is vanilla yogurt that they forgot to put the fruit or the nuts or anything like that in it, I guess, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Unless you're really into vanilla yogurt and it tastes like something else. I don't know. Alrighty. What else do we want to chat? I mean, I'm curious to see how the final issue ends, but yeah.
Do you want to talk Justice League?
Sure, let's talk Justice League.
I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't. This wasn't really like a home run with me. Again, not terrible, but I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, it to me felt very. It felt very short. Also, despite there was more reading in it than like say Green Arrow, to me it felt very short. We're suddenly. I mean, I don't need a build. I don't need a build up to something. I mean, clearly this issue starts out with them being attacked by something that's some fear-based something or other. Somehow them all holding hands gives the Green Lanterns enough power to push back the fear. I mean, I get that the Green Lanterns are the ones that can fight that because I mean, clearly they're based on willpower. I mean, they're based on fighting against that. So, awesome and whatever. I don't know how keen I am on the whole idea of Jessica Cruz and Wally dating in the first place, except I figure that's totally wrecked now. I mean, because Wally and Jessica Cruz go on a date that, of course, Jessica Cruz is anxiety ridden anyway. That's her Achilles heel is all of her anxieties and whatnot. So, so there's that struggle for her to, should I do this? Should I not do this kind of thing? She gets there and then whatever this whole fear thing that went after them clearly has affected them and is re-sinking its claws in and causes chaos on their date. So clearly, I mean, I think she's currently locked in a freezer in a restaurant to hide from everything and everybody. So she'll never go on a date again, I would assume. I mean, that pretty much ends that whole story and whatnot. And then, of course, we get towards the end of this, the flirting with, oh no, Superman versus Batman. I don't know. Yeah. Whereas I really liked the first arc of this thing. I liked the big grand shots. I liked all the aspects of most of that story. This first issue does nothing for me. It lacked personality. It lacked. I mean, I didn't even think the characters were that anything. I don't know. It was very, very bland and uninspiring.
I don't know. This is just such a big step down. Again, I know you're not a Jeff Johns fan, but this is like a totally different book. And the thing, they just seem like all wimps.
Right.
It just seem like a bunch of wimps. I don't know.
So you don't think the level of threat is elevated high enough for them to, or is it just that it seems to be their response to it? They're all kind of reactionary, oh my God, this stuff's all happening, as opposed to charging out and getting it. And is that?
It's partially that, and it's just.
Clearly this issue is supposed to be that way. Whatever has come after them is some insanely high fear thing that it's put the fear into, Batman and Superman, the whole works. They're all afeared. So, that's clearly the story for this.
Clearly, it would be, but it's like, I don't see them acting that way. I think that is one threat, I think, that the Justice League, I'm not going to say invincible, I just don't see it having that much of an effect, you know what I mean? You get Batman where he's a human. Yeah, he's weak. He doesn't have the superpowers, Flash, take away his powers or run. Okay, then he's weak. It's just when you get them when they just didn't seem like the Justice League. It just, I don't know. Maybe it's too early to tell. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, my thing is it to me it doesn't feel like from a pure storytelling standpoint, I don't feel like we needed this story to create conflict, because this feels like the type of story that you put in to, okay, it's gonna be kind of interesting. Let's create some conflict amongst the team, right? And this would be an interesting way to do that. But to me, it doesn't feel like they need to do that, because it still feels like, I know the team's been around for quite a while and whatnot, but with the new Superman in there, there's already an element of conflict. So now they've taken the already kind of conflict that's going on between Batman and Superman, especially in the Justice League book. In the other books, they feel like they're kind of starting to work out their things. As much as they have differences, they have similarities. This guy isn't the same guy I knew before, but maybe he's not so bad. You feel like it's starting to get somewhere. Whereas in the Justice League, they haven't reached that point yet. Even to be at that point, this introduced an artificial conflict that they didn't need, because they're already still at conflict with Superman. I mean, yes, they all agree, boy, it's nice to have this guy around that is Superman, but he's not our Superman. They could have told all that conflict without. So now they've ratcheted it up. I mean, the end of this issue, Superman's basically going, that damn Batman, he's messing with me, he's messing with my family. He's less afraid, he's more paranoid, and he's gonna go kill Superman. I mean, go kill Batman. That's the answer to this whole thing. And for a pure storytelling standpoint, if they wanted to tell a story about conflict, they didn't need this artificial, whatever this sphere thing is, to tell that part of the story. So
this Crumb would be a Batman particular too. I mean, one of Batman's rogues' big thing is fear, and Scarecrow's thing don't even bother Batman anymore. So thing neither ratchet to a level far beyond anything.
Well, and it wouldn't phase Wonder Woman either. I question whether or not it would phase Aquaman. It might wig out Cyborg. Other than being Green Lanterns, it could clearly freak out Jessica Cruz, for instance. It might get to Flash. There's nothing in particular about Flash that makes him, a rock. But yeah, at least half of the Justice League to any sort of standard Scarecrow kind of thing would be kind of a laugh. This didn't seem to be that, though. I mean, there's clearly some other entity there, that black stuff that was rolling in. So I don't know. As far as this arc,
clearly wasn't the first story. Then we have like those things. Was it Gotham? No, what were those things that are attacking Gotham?
They were those robotic bird kind of things. They kind of came in a big black mass, right?
Yeah. Right.
Or are you thinking of the mold that gains entities from the?
I think I was talking about. Like it came and it left.
Yeah, that was the robotic things.
Yeah.
In that first Justice League. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. This wasn't a strong issue for me. Like I said, I liked the first arc. This issue, the beginning of this arc, is not really doing it for me. So, what else? What else you got?
I keep preaching it every month, and here comes the Flintstones again. This one is a special one for all of us because it's about marriage.
Oh dear.
Fred and Wilma. Yeah, Fred and Wilma, unusual people. They've gotten married. Everybody else is drag them to the cave and clunk them on the head and that you want. Fred and Wilma to relax and get to know each other, and so the armadillo bowling ball finally talks to the elephant in the closet, and they become friends. It's fun little things like that. Right at the very beginning, even, it's all about loneliness. And there's a saber-toothed tiger that goes into where the people have fires. And they're like, are you really sure you want to do this? And then you see the guy hugging the giant saber-toothed tiger like he's his kitty. All that's great. There are all these people, though, as you can see, that hate the idea of marriage because it's unnatural. It's not the way things should be, and they confront the group, and by the end, they're okay with it, except for the guy who's running the group. Two guys come up and say, yeah, we like this marriage idea, and we want to do it. And he's like, no, it's a man and a woman. And Fred explains, and what's nice is Fred explains, in the tribe, when him and his mother were trying to escape the Tree People area, there were those that were not breeders who to help take care because they did not have children of their own. So it raises, it takes a village to raise a child idea. And so it was just wonderful. I mean, once again, it seems layer on layer of every time you think you're going to see something, they just add the next smart angle to it. So I've just been loving this, and I continue to recommend it.
So marriage is a newfangled thing in the book.
Yeah, to a certain degree, yeah. I think it's just been a couple years.
The book just sounds awesome. Well, it's kind of way of approaching, either current social issues or just kind of just looking at the world as the Flintstones being the beginning of civilization, and literally they're experiencing some of this stuff for the first time. Kind of stuff is pretty fun.
Yeah, and I think the thing too that I like about it is I remember the first couple issues of, or for a while there, South Park would do it. They would tackle a big topic that some people wouldn't want to talk about. They'd break it down into funny elements, and then you could discuss it. I think Flintstones is doing that.
Yeah. I just can't figure out, if I want to wait for a trade or start picking it up in singles and then seeing if I can go back and catch the singles that I haven't gotten. I just can't decide which I want to do with it. I haven't decided yet. So I'm just kind of wondering what the longevity of the book is going to be. So that's issue 4, right?
Yeah, I would say at least a good dozen. I mean, it just comes down to how much the writer is enjoying it, and if they can keep the artist on there, I guess. Because that's the one thing too is I feel the art really sells it too. I mean, it's just crisp, beautiful art.
Right. And who's doing the art on that? Is that Rudd? No.
No. Steve Pugh, P-U-G-H.
Pugh. Okay, right. Who did like Swamp Thing for a while and whatnot. So Swamp Thing and Animal Man for the New 52. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Mark Russell is the writer. So
who's doing the colors on it?
That would be Chris Chuckley.
Okay, because I think that's making a difference too on the way it looks.
Yeah.
Cool. Really sounds fun. Let's see. Did anybody pick up this? Did anybody pick up Dead Man? Dead Man in the Dark Mansion of Forbidden Love?
Trade on that one, but only because I just wanted to collect it and get it all in one shot.
Sure. So anytime these Dead Man things come out, I always pick them up. I've been, since the 80s at least. I've been picking these up. I'm a big Dead Man fan, and they always seem to come in this kind of, I don't know if it's called a deluxe format or what it is. It's square bound, kind of a thing. It is a $6 book, $5.99. Written by Vaughn, art by Medinda and Valdenberg. And I don't. This wasn't a super strong first issue, really. I enjoyed it. I liked the art, but I wasn't like blown away by it. There's some interesting things in here. It's clearly a very modern book as far as like social commentary goes. I mean, there's a character in here who is non-binary. So Dead Man mistakenly calls them her and gets corrected, and then he goes along with correcting his pronoun. Yeah. But it's a lot of setup. You get basically a character who is living in this house because her husband has inherited this house. He's writing a book. Once they have the book written, they're going to leave the house. It's a really old house. She is somebody who can see ghosts. So she can see Dead Man. She can see Boston Brand. And there's some other entity in the house that's like an evil entity kind of a thing. Dead Man was attracted to the house, and now that he's inside the house, he can't get out. Something has locked him in the house. So he's trying to solve whatever's going on so he can get the heck out. So the first issue really mostly establishes kind of who some of the characters are and the setup that he's stuck there and there's something evil going on. And he has this conversations with this main character about the fact that she can see ghosts. She basically scolds him for being rude, for possessing her without asking. So he promises he won't do it again unless he asks. And I mean, some stuff like that. It was okay. It wasn't as gripping as some of the stuff that some of their Dead Man stuff that I've read. And I guess I wish the art was fine, but I wish it would have been a little more dynamic. It was a little soft, I guess. Than what I wanted to be. I mean, I get the rest of it. I mean, I love the title of it too, because I mean, The Dark Mansion of Forbidden Love is like an old DC's gothic romance kind of book from, I don't know, like the 50s or 60s, I believe. So I think it's fun when they go back and reuse some of those old titles. Rebring those back into the mainstream. So at this point, it's not anything that I'm like blown away. Like, oh my gosh, you need to go get this. But I'm definitely curious about issue 2 and what's going to be next for it. It's 3 issues, I think and this is book 1, but there's 3 issues of it. So we'll see what it's like. Anybody got any other?
I think we need to go to Dinosaur Island.
Oh, right on.
Superman.
So, or we need to escape from Dinosaur Island, right?
We were just talking Flintstones. It kind of makes sense.
Sure. So this is issue 8 of Superman. What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, I think it continues to be a very good title. I mean, even the issues where it's like are bombastic, they're still fun. I had fun with this.
Oh.
I almost thought Crypto. I was like, poor Crypto. You just can't catch a break.
I'm thinking that's going to be the running gag now. Because, I mean, even John even says it in here. It's like, oh, my God, you just keep getting eaten by everything, kind of stuff. Because, one of the giant flying pterodactyls actually literally swallows Crypto at one point. So they're working on a science project. The science project goes haywire, gets tangled up with something because they're at the fortress, the Sword of Solitude. The science project gets tangled up with some of the crystals from the Fortress of Solitude, and then it basically, I don't know, it's kind of like a boombox almost or something, for like the Fourth World, and it pops them to the Forbidden Island where there's dinosaurs and all that kind of stuff. They try to fly away, they can't fly away. It's like they just kind of get looped back. It's like a Bermuda Triangle kind of a deal. And so there's dinosaurs. So we get to see Superman like get sucked up by a giant fish and all kinds of fun stuff. I'm still really enjoying it. This issue once again felt a little more stretched out than some of the other issues have been. Less story, more scenery, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it felt like it slowed down. But yeah, I still enjoyed it. I mean, I like their the relationship between Superman and his son is fun. Kind of curious to see what happens next. As far as because
see, I don't know. You think with this big crossover having with Justice League and Suicide Squad, you think you're going to start to see like little subtle Suicide Squad references into the other books? I mean, we've already seen it with Batman, and you would assume that's Colonel Flag. So, that you think that's a trend you're going to continue to see here, or no?
I think they're going to reference. I think there's going to continue to be references to each other in the stuff. I mean, little ones. That doesn't bother me as long as it doesn't really truly, tie in, because this isn't supposed to be tying in to anything. To the best of my knowledge, Superman books aren't supposed to be tying into anything yet. So, but I don't have a problem with them. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying his tie-ins will probably just be the other Superman titles.
Right, you would guess, right? But so I don't have a problem with it. Kind of finally referring to other things that are going on in the universe. I mean, that's one of the things that makes it a universe as opposed to just a totally insulated, kind of a thing. So, that aspect of it's cool. But anyway, so they end up on Dinosaur Island, and they found, you know, the graves and some stuff from some other people who were on the island at one point, you know, doing a mission. Whether or not these guys will finish up the mission, you know, who knows. The art was really solid. You know, this is another issue that's a Mankey issue, and I keep saying that I'm not a big Mankey fan, but I'm really liking his Superman work. You know, I'm not. I mean, you know, some of his faces aren't as good as others, but no, I mean, there's some great stuff in here. I mean, hell, anytime you can get dinosaurs or giant prehistoric fish, you know, eating Superman and whatnot, it's got to be fun, right? So, yeah, no, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. I mean, it's interesting watching, you know, Clark try and keep his kid insulated from the horrors of the world to a large degree. Mm-hmm. I mean, like they find this tank, this old Sherman tank. Superman looks inside of it and then closes the lid and starts sealing the lid up. And his son's like, well, why are you doing that? What's in there? Well, the people who drove the tank are still in there. And he kind of doesn't want them to see the bodies. You know, he ends up seeing some dead bodies anyway. But it's just this kind of, it's just so, well, I guess I like about it is it's, I mean, like I said, the whole people who want to say, oh, this is the same as the Batman book. You know, Bruce wouldn't have flinched an eye at Damian seeing old corpses in there. You know, I mean, that's just, you know, okay, that's a fact of life. Right, okay. Right? And whereas with Superman, it's like it's all this nurturing kind of thing. Are you okay? Are you know, he's just a different way. I mean, not that Bruce isn't concerned with Damian's emotional well-being also, because he clearly is, but his way about showing it and talking about it is just completely different than what it is with Clark. And I really enjoy it. I just enjoy the heck out of it. So still one of my favorite books of the Rebirth.
I mean, yeah, look at it when you're reading Batman and Robin too. It's kind of like it's like the positive and negative. They both kind of cancel each other out. Where this is not that.
Yeah,
That's a father trying to look out his son, Batman and Robin. This one is, you know, not leveling, but just kind of just being a parent, which is done in a different way, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Really good. I really like it. Continue to really like it. I have two other miniseries I can talk about. Do you want me to pick up either Midnighter Apollo or the Hawkman? So Midnighter and Apollo, issue 1 of 6, it basically takes right off from the Midnighter series. If you're reading the Midnighter series, this just feels like it just kind of moves right along from that. If you haven't read that, I don't think you're missing anything. If you were wanting to just pick up this miniseries, for instance, deals more with their relationship because they're kind of trying to get back together. Well, they are back together in a sense, but they're taking it slow this time as opposed to the last time that things were kind of crazy and whatnot. Definitely sexuality between these two guys, you know, shows them getting it on and all of that stuff. It you know, as far as being a rated teen plus book, it pulls no punches, which for me, that as far as I'm concerned, that's great. You know, no point in, you know, trying to hide it or whatever. That we're beyond that in 2016, I think. Midnighter continues to be incredibly brutal in here. He literally jumps through a subway train. Subway train's whipping down the tracks. He jumps to the front end of it and literally just basically flies through the subway train, just killing people. I mean, like knocking their heads off and, you know, ripping poles off and throwing them through a half a dozen guys. He's just an absolute wrecking machine. At one point towards the end of this, Apollo's like, I mean, I'm not trying to change you or anything, but do you literally really have to just butcher every person you see? Because they're rescuing these children. And when I say children, we're talking like 4 or 5-year-olds. He rescues them, but he slaughters everybody around these kids. So whereas Apollo's kind of like, you know, there might have been a better way to handle this. I mean, at least if you're going to kill him, take him someplace else to kill him kind of thing. Because he just, like I said, like I said, it's not like he just puts people down. He savagely kills everybody. That's just his MO. So I like it. I mean, you know, because there's like I said, the relationship aspects in the book, and it continues on with the whole, Midnighter being the way Midnighter is, and he's still chasing this guy who helped create him. So we get that aspect of this too. He catches up to the guy that helped create him. He thinks he's going to take the guy out. He's trapped now because how Midnighter gets around, he has these gates that he opens up, these doors that he can jump through, kind of thing. He goes into this where the scientist is at that helped create him, and the scientist has a computer that shuts all those doors down. And literally, they're in a sub basement that has no doors. I mean, there physically isn't a door in the place, and this computer has shut everything down. So if Midnighter just kills this guy, he has no way of getting out other than like taking a shovel and slowly digging his way out over time. And while that's happening, this scientist has struck a bargain with some magical type people, and they have kind of captured Apollo, and it looks like they've thrown him into hell. So we don't know what's going to happen next, and Midnighter's been made very aware of the fact that he is trapped here, and the love of his life has been sent to hell. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm still really enjoying it. So good stuff.
It states why Midnighter is such a killer.
It's it's part of the computer that's in his head. The supercomputer tells him how to defeat and pretty much, and he just feels like, I mean, he is Batman without the filter. Okay. Why would I mean, he doesn't, for him, justice is this person's never going to do anything ever again. So most bad people and the level of bad people he deals with, he just feels like don't have any redeeming factors. So I don't want to have to fight him twice. Let's just kill him and get it over with.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. So unless there's some justifiable reason why you as a bad person, if you're, capturing and sacrificing children, for instance, you probably have no redeeming qualities as far as he's concerned, and you're a dead man. And that's how he sees it. I mean, he does fight people and let them live. It's not like he kills literally everybody, but in a lot of situations, that's what he does because of the type of people they are. He just doesn't feel like they have enough redeeming qualities to make it worthwhile to keep them around. Or, he doesn't need them for something else. That's the other time he keeps people alive, so he needs them for something else, kind of a thing. So, yeah. I also picked up the Death of Hawkman. This is also a miniseries, 106. It was originally titled something else. I can't remember what it was called. It was like a Hawkman and Adam Strange. And this issue, it says featuring Adam Strange. It is almost 100% centric to Adam Strange, this first issue. The issue starts out with a war-torn place. He's helping Hawkman, who has like a dozen arrows sticking out of him and stuff. They're out in the middle of some battlefield. Everything is wrecked, kind of a deal. And then we go backwards in time to kind of see how we got there. They give us kind of an explanation of who Adam Strange is, how he operates. On Earth, he's just a normal archaeologist. I'm assuming maybe that's somehow he's associated with Carter Hall. But anyway, he's an archaeologist. Then he gets hit by the Zeta beam. He goes to Thanagarian or wherever, and there, across the universe, he's a superhero as Adam Strange. It was okay. It kind of ends with the getting back to where they were to some degree. It's written by Mark Andreychio, and I know a lot of people right now, that's like a bad taste in your mouth because he's the guy that ended Batwoman in the New 52. So, so not a real positive as far as as far as that goes. Andreychio has written stuff that I really like. I really liked his Manhunter run. This is not that, but it's not stinky like the Batwoman stuff was either. It's okay. I'll be curious to see what comes out of it. The art is by Aaron Lopresti, but somebody else is like inking his work, and so it doesn't look exactly like I'm used to Aaron Lopresti's work being. It's not quite as sharp. The lines are thicker than what I'm used to seeing his work being. So it's okay. It's all right.
I did have one more comic, and that was He-Man and the Thundercats cross. Truly what you would buy it for. It is nostalgia. It is among the two act, and that's what it is. Mumra is upset. He has never beat Lionel, so the evil powers that give him power bring his world, like almost like Convergence, where it was the two worlds crashing into each other. And they could see each other's planet. They go over to battle He-Man. And what I was surprised by is this little picture right here, where evidently He-Man makes a bad decision and finds out that of course, Mumra in disguise. It's just good. It is there for nostalgia. I'll probably grab the rest of them. Nostalgia wears off about issue 3 or 4. That's always been my problem.
So how long is that supposed to go?
I want to say I think it's just a 6-issue. I'm trying to remember. I don't really see right offhand in here. I'd probably have to look it up in Comixology, but
Yeah,
I'll see. If it's short, I'll continue with it. But it was just fun. Nice artwork. Exactly what you expect. So.
Yeah, that's a little too young for me. I never got into the He-Man and Thundercat stuff and whatnot. So, yeah.
He-Man, I never bought the toys. Thundercats, I used to get my LB, and in one room of the house, I could pick it up off the UHF channel.
Oh,
so
nice.
So
nice.
That's technology that I'm sure a lot of young.
Yeah, UFM. What the hell is that? You right? You have to tune in your TV stations. What?
Yep.
Yeah. Ugh. The good old days. Right on. Okay. Any other DC books we want to talk about?
I only want to just mention Harley Quinn, and that Red Tool is freaking awesome. I love Red Tool.
What?
And awesome. He's awesome. Just okay. So basically, his arm got cut off, and
right.
It was reattached by arm by a chronic masturbator. And there's this one scene where everyone in the gang's sitting there and Harley's in a towel. She's flinging around and then it drops. And then Red Tool starts to mention, why is my hand wanting to go into a spasm right now? He don't know it, but it's like... And that's just awesome. He's everything Deadpool should be. Why is my hand going into a spasm?
Okay. I'm glad I don't get any more of those. Oh, man. At any rate. I mean, I like the cover. I like the Punk cover. So, saw the Punk cover for the Sikowitz cover, right? A variant cover for that? Didn't he?
I didn't see it. I didn't see that. I think he has been. I think he's going to release issues. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think he did a Punk cover also that looked pretty cool. I remember seeing and whatnot. Right on. So that's it for DC books. DC news.
Oh shoot! What? Freaking! I know. Reader 1717's there. That's Batwoman.
Batwoman. Huge news. Batwoman's coming back with a monthly title. I'm glad it's monthly and not twice a month. Monthly title. Yeah. Marguerite Bennett is going to be writing on it, and it is going to have Steve Epstein is doing the art on it. It is going to look gorgeous. It is going to be super cool. And for people who keep track and it matters, a queer writer on the book for a queer character, that's probably a good thing. I guess to start out with, there'll be a couple issues in Detective Comics that kind of start the ball rolling, where Marguerite Bennett is co-writing with Tynion IV, and then I think the first arc of the actual Batwoman title is going to be co-written with the Fourth. Is my understanding of how that's going to work out. I'm super excited about it. I love the Batwoman character in general anyway. There's no doubt in my mind that I'll be picking up. I may even be more excited about this than I was excited about the Wonder Woman title, just because Wonder Woman's kind of always been around. There's always been some Wonder Woman access, and the Batwoman access has been fairly limited. And I made myself read the end of that last Batwoman arc, and so to get rid of that awfulness and whatnot. For people who don't know, I mean, I know that Steve Epting did some Marvel work in the past, like he did some Captain America or something like that. The biggest thing I'm familiar with him is he's been doing an Image book called Velvet with Ed Brubaker, a spy book that is gorgeous looking. So if he's applying that art to Batwoman, well, I think all I have to do is go do an internet search for the cover or the cover image they're using for the Batwoman. I think that's what the whole book's going to look like. So it's going to be pretty awesome as far as, visually stimulating also, I think. So, and at least for the first issue, they're sending her around the world. And they've also said that does not eliminate her from the Detective Comics. Some people were worried, is that going to take her out of the dynamics in the Detective book? Because that's been kind of a fun, Batman family team book, and it's not supposed to mess that up. So that's pretty cool. I think anyway. Luke, you gonna pick that book up?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, same here. Anything else? I can think of a few other things.
Yeah, Tomasi's going to be the writer for Super Sons.
Right. So they have confirmed a date for Super Sons. Well, like Super Sons, they had originally first talked about it. They didn't give us any creators, and then they quit talking about it for a while. They have announced it's going to come out in February, I believe, is when that starts. I'm not sure when the Batwoman starts. I think it starts early 2017 also. But February for Super Sons, that's the title that's got Superboy and Robin in it. And Tomasi is writing it. Have they told us who the artist is? I don't remember if they did or not.
They did, and I heard it's I think it's Jimenez. I think they said Jimenez. Did they say Jimenez?
Oh yes, you're right. It is. That's right. Totally gonna get that book up. Animator 1717 just confirmed for me it is February for the Batman book also. So I'm super stoked that it's Tomasi doing that, because he's given such a good voice to Damian, and he's given such a good voice to John. Two of them are going to be fun, I think, because they're either going to get along immediately, or it's going to be like oil and water. I don't know, kind of a thing. I mean, because it seems to me like you look at kind of like Superboy, and he's like kind of new to the world. He sees everything with kind of a fresh, somewhat optimistic kind of a face, and of course Damian may be internally an optimist, but externally what he projects to everybody else is this kind of the cold reality of how the world is, kind of thing. So that could be all kinds of fun. I just have no idea what the story is actually going to be like, but I can see it being all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Another book, there's no doubt in my mind, I'm going to find room for it on my pull.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
And it'll be curious to see how it plays. I mean, the Robin Son of Batman book was okay. To have these two without their parents.
It was okay, and then
right. Then it just went off the rails. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of stories they tell, with that, and how do these two, how do we feel about them when they're not with their parents, with their dads. Right. So, yeah. Another thing that was announced, Wildstorm, the Wildstorm imprint is coming back. And Warren Ellis is the one that is spearheading it. They're basically going to use Warren Ellis kind of like Gerard Way is being for the Young Animals. He is writing the main book, which I can't remember what it's entitled. Is it Wildstorm? I can't remember what it's called. But he's going to be doing the main book. It's basically a team book, so it's going to have the Jenny Spark and a lot of those characters for the people who are familiar with the old Wildstorm characters. he used to write Wildstorm back in the day. So he's going to be doing that book, and he is going to help spearhead the other books. There's going to be some other books come out of that he's going to kind of like be in charge of enriching, kind of a thing. For that main book, the artist is going to be Davis Hunt. Isn't that his name? The current artist for Clean Room, right? Yeah, yes. Davis Hunt. He is going to move on to that. He's going to move on to that title. So the art's going to be solid on the book. I'm excited. Warren Ellis writes some great stuff. Warren Ellis at least has a good track record with Marvel anyway of reintroducing characters and kind of like breathing new life into them. What happens to him after he gets done doing that, breathing new life into him, I don't know. Me personally, I was kind of shocked to hear it was happening because Warren Ellis left DC under not really great terms when he left. It was kind of like, fuck you, I'm done. I'm done working for you people. Kind of a thing. And I don't know if he literally said never again, but everything but never again am I working for these people. So I don't know if enough people have moved on, or it's the fact that he's kind of off in his own place, or what it is. But I know there was a lot of fireworks, and I quite frankly never expected to see him come back and work for any portion of DC. So I'm glad whatever that issue was got buried, because I'm curious to see him handle some stuff. So yeah, so excited about that too. I'll be checking that stuff out, see what it's like and what's there. I don't think I want to read a Grifter solo book. I'm just not into that character, but beyond that, I'm open to whatever is out there. And I'm curious, does the Wildstorm stuff stay in its own place, or does it bleed over into the DC? Because I know that the Young Animals are supposedly in the DC universe, but kind of doing their own thing too. So I'm guessing that's what this is going to be, because Apollo and Midnighter, of course, are Wildstorm characters. So I don't know. It'll be It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. Any other?
And I know they announced the next for Batman fans anyway. The next Batman 66 crossover is going to be with Wonder Woman 77.
Makes total sense.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
See what they mentioned they didn't say when, but a new animated movie. He's going to have Two-Face.
Oh, yes.
William Shatner's going to be the Two-Face.
Perfect.
At least of Harvey.
Right. That'll work. I always thought he should have played the Joker back when they picked Jack Nicholson to be the Joker. I was like, as a kid, in '87, I'm like, no, it should be William Dafoe. But people didn't know who William Dafoe was at the time. But
wonderful toys.
Sure. Well, he's already got the smile. The kind of he's already partway there for that. So, yeah. So I'm looking at the comments, and Blackpool is saying that that Wildstorm will not be part of the Rebirth universe. So I don't know how that works when you've got the maybe Midnighter and Apollo aren't in the DC universe proper. I guess there's nothing there that says it is. I mean, it doesn't have those minis don't have the Rebirth banner on them, so I guess that still works. Yeah. Other than the Midnighter and the New 52 clearly was in the DC universe because he fought the Suicide Squad and stuff like that. Yep. So yeah. Okay.
And Grayson, yeah.
Right. Any other DC news?
Wonder Woman artist Nicholas Scott is going to be leaving with issue 14. Yep.
Yeah, right. But that was I think that was a known thing. People just didn't do the math to really put it together. Okay. She was on the book. She was always originally supposed to be on the book for the year one stuff. Her doing that stuff in the past, and then she was going back to doing Black Magic, the Image book that she's doing with Greg Rucka, which we will see in April of 2017 is when we'll start seeing the first of the Black Magic.
Yep.
But we haven't heard who's replacing her yet, though, right? Just that it's going to be somebody wonderful.
It was the person who did a fill-in.
They did. Oh God, who was it?
Yeah.
the person who did the fill-in.
Yeah, he's. I think it's the next issue. The artist for the next issue, I think.
Yeah, I already closed my thing on that, so
I don't know who that is off the top of my head to know, but
God, this is driving me crazy.
But I know some people were trying to spin that Nicholas Scott leaving as being there's some sort of an issue, and there is no issue. That was always the plan. That's not a. I mean, it's a bummer. Don't get me wrong, because I love her art, but I'm also happy to know that she's jumping back on doing Black Magic, and in a few months we'll be back to reading that awesome book. So that doesn't hurt my feelings at all. So
at 14, is that like 2 issues, 7 apiece? Is that like 2 trades?
I think it's like 6 each. Yeah, 6 or 7 issues each. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I'm really curious with that book how they put the trade out. Did they put it out? Did they put out a modern book and a year 1 book? Or do they literally, does it every 20 pages it goes from future to past? I don't know. We'll be curious to see how that works. Let's see. I can't think of anything else DC wise. Can you guys?
No.
I mean, other than if you want to get into the where our skirts, they are releasing when they release Suicide Squad in a Blu-ray, it will have extended scenes, even though originally the director said there wasn't going to be a director's cut or extended scenes. Clearly they have stuff sitting around on the cutting room floor. They're putting it back in. So I have no idea what that entails. Does that mean you get more of the Joker that supposedly, Leto says that, all this stuff that he filmed got cut or what? I have no idea if that matters, but there's going to be that. So, yeah, for that awful movie that didn't make any money and whatever. At any rate, so we done talking DC? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's move on to Marvel. It's a light week for me. I only have 1 Marvel book. All I've got is Doctor Strange, issue 12, number 1 of the blood in the ethers. Is that what we're calling that? Sure.
Yeah.
And they put the now there instead of putting it on the title itself. So we'll see how that all plays out. Right? So what do you think, Mike?
It's good. We see the creature of the basement, his awful creation, back.
Mr.
I
Misery.
like that. Yes, thank you, Mr. Misery.
He
I do like how they break that. Yeah, and I like how they break it down on each villain almost by like each day. We see that he's significantly weaker, Doctor Strange, and that he has to supplement all of his magic with magic items. So.
Yeah, I mean, you almost don't see him cast a spell. Everything he does, he's pulling out a sword or an arrow or something. It's that kind of a thing and whatnot. And he's back at the bar complaining about how bad he's got it, and of course he gets informed by the guy that's running the boss that his arch nemesis is back. I love the fact that the guy that runs the bar, of course, is the head in a jar, and he got beat up last issue. And so he literally has a Band-Aid on his glass jar to hold his glass jar together. I don't know, that was funny. I still love this art. I love the style of it and stuff. Wonderful giant pile of ads in the middle.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I am interested in this in Carlo Mordo. I don't really know a lot about the character, to tell you the truth. He seems interesting enough. What we get of him in here makes me interested in what's going on with him. He's clearly made some sort of bargain with this universe that he hid out in. So you got these kind of not quite devils, but that kind of a devilly demon, fiery, nasty things that, I don't know, it's...
Dormammu.
Yeah. I mean, I'm interested. I'm interested in seeing what exactly, happens, in it. And, towards the end of it, some really crazy stuff goes on. I'm not sure. I mean, did you know who that was at the end, Mike?
What was that?
Do you know who it is at the very end of the book?
Oh,
the guy
yes,
says,
I do.
who is
It
that?
says, Tuesday Part 2. That's his
Uh,
name.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that's a reoccurring character. It's another big major player who sends lots of minions to fight him all the time.
Right. So it looks like pretty much by looking at the next issue, which curiously the next issue is released on the same day this issue came out. See, on sale, and it says 10/5/16, which was this last Wednesday. So oops. But anyway, so there's like a menagerie of magical bad guys, right? I mean, that's a whole.
Yes.
So it seems to be like everybody's figured out, hey, the Sorcerer Supreme is kind of wimpy right now. Let's go take him out. So, and I don't know how many of these other bad guys maintained their power, but because of where what's his face was at, he was in a universe that kind of, they knew what was going on but held back. They didn't want to get engaged because they didn't want to lose any of their power, and they let Doctor Strange take the brunt of it. And so now Doctor Strange is this weakened entity. You think he's going to end up using Mr. Misery as a? You think he's going to continue to use him as a tool against these other guys?
Good call. I didn't think about that, but that does fit. That would fit in perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wondered because I don't know what's next, but I'm enjoying it. I mean, I'm liking it. I'm hoping that this is a little more personal, a little more solid than that Magic, Death of Magic arc was. And I don't know, something about that.
I already feel that it is. I don't know why that arc seems so off. I don't know if he thought he was going to build to it longer, but I mean, it still feels like it was his goal to get there, unless they said they had to depower him.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, this issue feels more solid just because it feels more like an investment in him, in the main character, whereas the other one wasn't that. So, yeah.
So I don't know if part of that was that they were working towards the Sorcerers Supreme, where that there's going to be all these people. Like they told him a team book is coming, set something up to make a team book.
Yeah, I don't know. Could be. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
What kind of marching orders they give Jason Aaron to, and how that potentially corresponds with the movie that's coming up at some point and that sort of stuff. I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Champions.
All right.
It's I believe now Champions. It was in an area that where at least on my shelves it was still in the C, but I remember when it printed out it was now Champions.
Oh, okay.
Regardless, this didn't feel like it spoiled anything for the ending of Civil War, whatever we're doing.
Civil War II, yeah.
Yeah, Civil War II. Just because of what we've discussed or with other people's books, it did seem more like they concentrated, like Camila, Miss Marvel, she is going to be the leader of this team, and feel, at least with, it seemed like all the Avengers in her group.
All the kids.
Made it, well, no, the previous one. All the, Sam was there, Thor was there. It didn't seem like any of that issue, like if you're reading the book and Civil War wasn't there, this story could easily fell in.
Okay.
The only thing I would say that, it was the people hate them. Like, you guys are never fixing anything. You bring your battles, into our cities. This is all your fault. So, I mean, even though it's the Wrecking Crew that ruins them, it still makes it feel, I'm trying to think. It feels like the same old, same old. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
So you didn't need that event.
Right. So what you're saying is this book doesn't feel like it's spun out of an event at all.
No. She does decide finally to break with them. And evidently, Spidey, Miles Morales, and Nova have already left. So it was just Sam, the
Vision,
Cap,
Thor.
and so Cap, Sam, and then Thor and her. I think were the only three that actually were battling the crew. She goes to find Nova and Spidey, and and they're saying, we quit. We're not doing this anymore. So maybe that's part of Civil War II. And the Vision's not there either. Sure. So I mean, I think that shows that there is some tie-in with the other people's books. They decide to go and pick up the new Hulk, Amadeus Cho, who's saving people, and it shows that he's smarter than the old Hulk. He's using a like an X-ray goggle thing where he's rescuing people that are trapped in a mine, and he has to do it just right. It helps, that now Camilla, Spidey, Nova are all there, so they all work together. That one's perfect. Shows like, hey, I have a friend I play games with online. Let's go get her. It's Viv, the daughter of Vision.
Sure.
But they knock on the door, and they're like, this seems really weird. As Vision opens the door, and he's like, oh, no, this has nothing to do with me. I'll go tell Viv that you want to see her. So, I mean, obviously there is something unspoken that happened group, and so I presume that's his book. Almost not even that it has anything to do with Civil War wrapping up. Yeah. So you get all of those. Viv automatically decides, to join, and she is the communications, basically, lets them know that there's trouble. They tackle a new villain that I've never seen before. They do a great job together. But it's this clown-like figure who's selling sex slaves. So, I mean, that was kind of weird. I mean, young women, and, I mean, they're tackling a pretty tough subject, and he goes to kill the girls. I'm going to cut my losses, and you guys are going to save the girls, and I'm going to get away. Hulk starts beating him down, and the crowd is there filming him, and they're like, kill him, and Amadeus is just about ready to do it. And, of course, Miss Marvel stops him. It was good to see she's bringing about hope. The book is about change. Sure. It's about being the super part of superheroes. So, yeah, I mean, it's good. It seems maybe a little on the nose. I mean, it is that new group breaking away from the old regime. I like it. It follows everything. Do I need to pick it up in trade or singles? I don't think there's ever going to be anything so spectacular that I can't miss it from issue to issue.
Sure.
But like tackling the sex trade industry, there are some things I think that Marvel is trying to do that way. That's trying to make it a little more shocking. That I think maybe they're hoping to bring new readers into them.
Sure. I'm curious about the book. I just gun shy because of the crossover and events and that sort of stuff. But I hummed and hawed about whether or not I was going to order and get that. I ultimately chose not to. I think I would wait it out and see what other people thought, and I'd probably pick it up in trade. The whole thing where they show up at the Vision's house and the Vision answers the door and they think it's awkward. Half those people are on that team. He slapped around in the last issue of the Vision. So that's probably why it's awkward. I mean, because he literally, Nova shows up and tries doing him in, and he buries Nova in the pavement and stuff like that. So I'm sure that's probably like, if that, that's even marginally grounded, the Vision book is marginally grounded in the rest of the reality of the Marvel Universe, that has to feel weird, right? It's like, oh, okay.
Right. Yep.
So yeah.
Also, it's Ramos art. I do like it. I found as I read the whole thing, I really do like it. It is like watching a cartoon. It is over-exaggerated. Faces really make the, so if you can tolerate that.
I don't know if I can. See, that was the thing that chased me away first and foremost. Was like, I don't know.
Yeah. So that's what I got. That's all my Marvels. So.
Alrighty then. We can roll on to Marvel news. And speaking of cartoons and that sort of thing, and Spider-Man, which we chose to not talk about, there
we don't say his name.
Right? Yeah, it's like Voldemort. Yeah. But it was announced that Dan Slott is overseeing the new Spider-Man cartoon, and I'm like, woo! He's going to be so tied up with a cartoon, he can't write the book. Which he then immediately said, but I'll still be on the comic book. Damn it! So I got all excited.
He said that he was literally flipping everybody off. I'm like,
oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. You don't say it that way. That's literally how he said it. See, you know he did that to troll the people who he knows don't like him. I mean, he, as much as he talks about how much he hates it, I'm sure he legitimately hates the death threats, and there's no reason for him to be getting those. The people who are just generally like us grumbling about him, I think he gets a certain amount of kicks and jollies out of trolling us, and that's what that is, in my opinion. So, whatever. I thought it was funny at the same time, but I was like, oh, I almost was going to pick up Spider-Man again. Nope. So, let's see. Trying to think of what else. Just today, within a couple hours ago, they released the first trailer for the Netflix Iron Fist. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. They confirmed there's a hallway fight scene in it. In that there seems to be a hallway fight scene for all of these shows. That's the last one. That's the last of the Defenders, basically. So after that show comes out, we can start counting days or whatever until the Defenders show comes. But Iron Fist doesn't hit until March, right? I think it's March.
Yep.
So got a little ways to wait. I'm only like 6 episodes into Luke Cage, so I that's okay. I've got plenty to watch before that, but kind of excited about it too. I mean, I know there's a certain level of controversy that people thought that in this day and age they should have changed Danny into a into an Asian character, and of course, so the heroes are white guys, and the all the sidekicks and bad guys are all look to be of Asian descent by that little thing there. Completely understand the criticism of that. It is reflective of the comic book, so for whatever that's worth. But I'm excited to watch it too, to see what it is. I'm hoping we'll get to see some cool kung fu, if nothing else, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And his fist does glow. It shows him with this glowing red hot fist. I guess I'm kind of excited about that because he gets closer to being super powered, and I'm curious to see more of these shows get closer to actually us seeing super powered TV shows, as opposed to just really talented fighters or that sort of thing. So
well, and especially with Luke Cage, I think that one showed. I mean, it made Netflix drop for 2 hours. Even when it came back on, people like yourself couldn't watch it. I think they have to see how colossal these are getting, and that they are money crushers.
Yeah. I would assume they are. I'm assuming they're making lots of money, because I don't know, because it's Netflix produced. So I don't know. It's not like Netflix is getting money every time we watch it.
Right.
But clearly they're ensuring that all of us are subscribed to Netflix, so we do get to see it, kind of a thing. Yeah. So, it clearly hugely popular, though, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So
when you get to the end, I think it'll be interesting. I do think they're tackling more social issues.
Sure.
Luke Cage is that way. I think it's making it a little more edgy. I'm glad Netflix is doing this. So
yeah. Sometimes I wish that Marvel Comics were a little more reflective of what they're doing with the Netflix stuff. Not necessarily the exact same thing, but they're not shying away from it. It doesn't feel like in the shows versus some of the stuff. Otherwise, let's see what other Marvel news is there. They halfway announced a solo book for one of my favorite Marvel characters, Ms. America, They're say there's going to be sometime in 2017. They say there's, and this is why I say this, and this is me being kind of a pessimist about the whole thing. So I think clearly Marvel is taking it in the shorts as far as having the whole diversity thing. Whether you look at them as that it's all fake, it's all just a gimmick, and you're beating Marvel up for that reason, or you're on the other side of it and you're saying they don't have enough characters that represent everybody else. Of course, she's a bi character. Let's get her out there. Let's say we're doing a book on her. So they announced that there's a book. There's no writer. There's no artist. They have a cover artist. The guy, Jamie McKelvey, who did a lot of the art for the Young Avengers, is going to do the cover art. But beyond that, there's nothing. There's no release date or whatever. I mean, some people are still waiting for there to be a Blade, a new Blade book with the daughter, the daughter of Blade. So it was an African American, female character. Well, it's been more than a year, and that thing hasn't seen the light of day. So part of me is suspicious we're never going to see this. It feels to me like they're producing this book also because the creators of the character are putting out an image book that's almost got the exact same title. It's American, not Chavez, but Vasquez or something like that. And she's literally, like everything about her is almost exactly the same because people have been complaining that they want this story. So those creators went, well, let's make something that's close to it and tell those stories. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I wondered. I thought it was because of the legal battle they're going to try and do with this.
Oh, that may be too. They need to produce more to whatever. To me, it just feels very reactionary and not like there's real support behind it happening.
Yeah.
Being asked if we didn't pick up Jessica Jones this week. I did not pick up the Jessica Jones book. I'm a little apprehensive to pick up the Jessica Jones book just because it's got all the original people on the book that did the Alias book, which is a very solid book. I've had such bad experience here lately with the same creators coming back to books to redo them and recapture the magic or whatever. And it has not worked out well at all. And it kind of sours it for me. So I've just been really gung shy about picking it up. And I've heard the whole mix as to whether or not that was a good book or not. So I don't know. As far as that goes, that's why I chose not to pick up that book. Other Marvel news? I feel like I'm missing something else. There's other Marvel news. It's kind of people being upset over stuff, but
well, I don't recall a whole lot right offhand.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know enough about some of the stuff that people are bent out of shape about to really be able to comment on it a whole lot. So, yeah, I can't think of any other. I know there was something else. Dang it, there's some other comic book stuff, and I can't remember what it is now. They're changing the name of Silk to Silkworm. Did you guys hear that?
No.
I'm not sure why they're doing that. Why? And Silkworm?
There must be some.
She was spider oriented before, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess this is my not having enough Marvel knowledge. Do either of you guys know what is her power base? Is she? Spider-Man is clearly spider based. He got bit by spider, mutated, blah, whatever. Spider Woman, has some spider, stuff going on too. What is Silk? Is she just called Silk because she can? I don't know what.
I don't know powers based. I think, and I'm trying to remember from other people's videos. I think she was from Original Sin. Someone else that was bit by the same spider Peter was bit by. Okay,
so she is spider-based.
Yeah, I think she's, correct me if I'm wrong, she's freaking, what's her name? Fuck, May. What's her first name? Shit. Never mind, go ahead. I'm just going.
But I guess, like I said, this unfortunately is my, and maybe like Jocko or somebody else who's in the comments will we'll jump in at some point and help us out. I don't know enough about the Silk character to know. It just seems weird to suddenly call her Silkworm, because Silkworm is, I mean, that's not spider in any way. You know what I mean?
And I wonder, because I remember when they were doing Riri Williams as Iron Man, everybody was like, why isn't Iron Maiden? And I think they said they thought they couldn't get enough of the rights from the song Iron Maiden.
Sure, the band yeah. and whatnot.
Yeah. And the band and all that. So I think they thought there was too much copyright issues. So, and I don't know. I don't know what else.
Like Silkworm. So I'm hoping there's something in the story that drives her to suddenly. I mean, yeah, they don't know either. The people in the comments don't either. Okay, that's cool. Thanks for maybe. But so I don't know. Maybe there's something in the story. Maybe she poisons her name so badly that she needs a new name and a new costume. I don't know. But it just seemed weird to me. And Silkworm, I don't know. Something about that.
I just remember in Spider-Verse, her and Peter have something else going on pheromone-wise, where like if they get too close together, they
attracted to each other.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought maybe she like wanted to like, eat his head off. Oh, that's Prey Mantis. Never mind. But
that's the other issue. Yeah.
Do the Black Widow thing and take him out or whatever. Huh. I don't know. I just that was the other thing that I saw that just kind of caught my eye. I was like, well, that's really weird. It just seems strange to me to randomly change, and not radically change. It just, I don't know. It just seems strange. I've been trying to think of other characters that had their names changed in that way, and I can't think of anything right offhand where they haven't like completely changed their identity. And maybe she is. Maybe she's completely changing her identity. I mean, because clearly Robin went to Nightwing, but that was a complete identity change. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I can't think of any other Marvel stuff. So, move on to some indie books.
Sure.
What do we got indie wise? What do you want to talk about?
Do you want to talk Clean Room?
Yeah.
I think all three of us got it.
Let's talk Clean Room. The last issue with this artist on it, by the way.
Oh, is this the last one?
Yeah, this is
issue,
the end, right?
Issue 12 is his last issue, right? I don't think they've said. I've seen Gail say, "Oh, I love the next artist," but I don't know. I don't know that we know who that is. So, anyway,
okay.
Clean Room issue number 12.
Chloe Klimklam. That demon, it is just amazing how well they fleshed him out.
Sparks? Yeah.
Sparks, yeah. He is grown to be a part of, but I mean, they take Astrid Mueller out, and then we, bring her back, showing us how she forms, how she tackles people. I thought was great. Mm-hmm. She gets in this challenge, and then she's like, well, I may not have wanted to do it, but I'm sure as hell not going to let them have it. So, right. I mean, the book just gets vicious in a hurry, manipulation that Astrid has on people, the introduction of how we see demons come out of almost nowhere. Sometimes I'm at a loss for words.
Yeah, Luke, what you think?
I mean, I did not know. I mean, I must have been totally oblivious. So I got like about 75% of the end of this book. I was like, is this ending? I really had that feel to it. I was like, what the heck? But I mean, it was good. I mean, I love that twist where she's sitting there talking to that guy. The guy thinks he's putting a screw over her, and she's like, oh, by the way, that guy behind you.
Right. The guy behind you, he's one of them. They've just been jerking your chain. And I've known all along. That's the part that I loved. Because you feel like Astrid's shutting down. I mean, because she literally is. She's up in like the Rockies or something. She's shutting down. She's having nothing to do with anything. And it's like, oh man, what's next? Chloe seemed like she was gonna maybe take over, and then she fails taking over. And I'm just like, the whole place just going to pieces. This evil, supplement salesman guy is gonna take over the company in this, in this power grab, and he's a sick bastard, and then it's like, and then Astrid, flips the switch and she's just like, okay, challenge is on. I'm re-energized, and how quickly she re-establishes control of a lot of stuff. You get a little bit of her past again in this issue, which I liked. Her basically cold comments about her father, about stabbing him to death and whatnot, and just how serious she is about getting stuff. The baby at the end, of course, is one of those kind of oh shit moments at the end of the issue, because I mean the people, she sends these people off to find the package. They find the package, and the security officer's like, it must be a mistake. I mean, there's just a little baby here. I mean, she was being watched by an illegal alien. Oh dear, but the baby seems fine. Oh no, let me see the baby. You get the picture of the baby, and of course the baby is
too much.
So basically, my understanding is the idea is there are demons amongst us all the time. Astrid is one of those people that can see them. It seems like Chloe can possibly see them too. But Astrid sees them, and they're all around us, manipulating us, for whatever their purpose may be. And once they don't need us anymore, well, they just, casually rip our heads off. So you get this whole idea that you don't know who anybody could be the next bad guy or whatever. I'm real curious about the guy who had his lover turned into Pony Boy. He got his hand lopped off, but they kind of like give him a stay of execution there at the end. It's like, he was literally screwing them, and now they're like, oh, it's okay. So I'm really curious to see if he's really okay, or they're gonna do something else with him.
No, because didn't they put sparks in him? Isn't that why you could see that he has his hand at the end?
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure on that. So that is what they did?
That's my because they said you could save him the same way you saved the other guy, and I think that's that's how that works.
So now he's riding in. Yeah, okay, that's cool. And I like the fact we get kind of a little bit of history of Sparks too, because we all like, oh, Sparks is so cute for being a demon kind of guy. He's nice. He talks in this kind of cute, blah 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 way. Well, we find out that Sparks before he got exercised, that he was not a nice guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and the fact that Chloe can now activate the clean room.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was a good blast. Yeah.
Where does the story go from here? I don't know.
I just hope the artist.
The one thing about
seriously.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be curious to see who the next artist will be. That's going to make that. I mean, the story is interesting, and the art isn't a deal breaker for me. It's like, oh damn, he's not on. I'm not it. Unless they get somebody that's just a wreck, then it could be. Yeah. But it'll be an adjustment. We've had a year now of it. The book's solidly looking like this, and nobody else.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see what that. If they get somebody who's radically different, do they get somebody who kind of tries to stay in this realm, or what? I just hope that we can still open up the book and immediately know who everybody is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to open it up and go. The only reason I know it's Astra is because she's got red hair with a white stripe in it. The only reason I know who Chloe is because she's the only African-American character in it. I hope that's not the case. I hope I open it up and I can still go, oh, I know who these people are, kind of thing. So, yeah. It's been an interesting year. There's still aspects of this book that puzzle me to the end that just feel so random. I still don't, the boat with the giant cannons on, that whole thing that happened in issue 6, the end of the first arc or whatever. That's still not setting well with me. I'm like, what the? Are we ever going to get back to that? What the hell's going on there? Because it seemed like I almost felt like they were like, oh shit, we might, the plug might get pulled on our book, so we're going to throw this big crazy thing out there. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. It just kind of felt that way. Leaving them a place to end a war if they need to end a war. I don't know.
Well, and I definitely also feel, I mean, certain points it was hypersexualized.
Oh yeah.
And I just wonder if that was for shock now, because
to some degree it is. I know to some degree Gail is writing the book to shock us in one way or another, whether it just be horrific gore or the combination of horrific gore and the sexual stuff. I mean, because clearly the Pony Boy is both things.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a sex toy and he's just, that's just totally messed up, kind of a deal. So, I mean, it's clearly there for that. I mean, a panel I sat on one of the cons, she said, look, I mind everybody around me's, worst nightmares. And then I tried ratcheting up as much as I could, and I'm throwing them in this book. I mean, so,
Sure.
The kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, it's clearly there to be shocking in some sense, no doubt about it. But for me, that's kind of one of the reasons I am reading the book. Is what's going to happen next? What's the crazy ass, oh my god, kind of thing going to happen next? Kind of a thing. So, and depending on you personally, depends on what shocks you over something else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about that? Any other books you want to talk about? I've got a few more.
Yeah. Girls.
Go ahead, Luke.
Paper Girls?
Paper Girls. Paper Girls, issue number 10. Nice. I don't know. This cover felt very Halloween-y, even though, there's nothing about it other than the color of it.
Yeah. The black.
Yeah, well, the orange and the grays. It has a kind of a... I still haven't pulled my covers off yet to make, because this is the final cover you need to make your poster for those people who are playing along. I still haven't done that. Maybe if the book ever hits the dollar bin, I would do that. But what is past is epilogue. Yeah, there's part of the cover. The book continues to be gorgeously drawn and colored. Cliff Chang art with Matthew Wilson's brilliant colors, and it's this future no time whatever stuff is just crazy. Love the coloring. It's simple but very, very smart. I think get a little bit of action in this issue. We get some stuff answered, I think, don't we, Luke? And then we get a whole bunch more questions thrown at us, right?
Yeah, you would assume the other Aaron was the one from the future, so you get the warning. So
yes,
assuming that is the truth.
Sure, and you're going along, and that all makes sense. Clearly, the future younger, Aaron, the clone Aaron, we'll call her clone Aaron because we at least identify her as that, ends up being kind of a hardcore person, and they kind of deal with her, and the rest of the Aarons and the rest of the girls decide that she was the bad Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is, though, we get farther along in the book, and at least for me, I'm buying that. I'm like, okay, that all makes sense. Yeah, she clearly that was the Aaron they were warned about on the hockey stick. Then we get to the end of the book, and they meet KJ, whose hockey stick was given to them with a warning on it. She's still carrying her hockey stick, and she has no idea what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and she has the hockey stick.
Right. Who put the hockey stick there? Was that really the bad Aaron? It seems like it because the adult Aaron gets left behind by the end of this, to do some other stuff. So yeah, answered, and that's a wraparound cover. Sweet.
Oh.
But I love it. I mean, I love the conversations. I love the fact that when push comes to shove, even though they all think old Aaron is kind of like, oh, she's just depressing, they all back her. At the end of the day, it's like, whoa, somebody throws down on her, and I love the fact they trip the clone Aaron through the hole. By one of them's crouched down and the other one knocks her over. And after they're done doing it, the one that was hunched down goes, I've never got to do that to anybody else. It's always been done to me. I just love that whole thing, because if you're anybody who's ever had that done to you, that really sucks. So last issue, we were left with the idea we were going to see this crazy future, and we don't get to see it. It gets teased, but it doesn't happen, kind of thing. And they get dropped off into some gorgeous looking place. Super cool. The art, though, look at that. Helicopters tangling with these weird, they look like robotic giant, amoeba things they jump out of the helicopter.
Now I have to think, let me go back. I think the place they land, that's the. I'm trying. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong book. Oh, no wonder it didn't look like it. Holy shit.
Well, they land in some open plains of water and fields, and then there's this hill with a I don't know what they're called. The where ancient man would build. What's that?
Yeah, I think that's the guy. Is he God? I'm making that assumption that's God.
Well,
or a god, maybe not God, but
I don't know.
It's on his shirt.
It looks like Pan. He looks kind of like a Pan or a satyr of sorts, except he has the apple symbol at the top of the mountain. Yeah. So this is a giant mountain with this, that, if you're in a helicopter or whatever, you can see that, it's a thing to the gods that ancient man had built in the past. Or if you live close to where I live, there's actually, there used to be a Jolly Green Giant plant where I'm at, and there's a mountainside that actually has a 70-foot tall Jolly Green Giant rocked into the hillside, into the mountainside. So, yeah.
You got weird religions over there.
Hey, we do. All hail the green bean. And if anybody who's watching this outside the United States, you're probably wondering what the hell we're talking about. Jolly Green Giant was a vegetable
mascot.
It was a mascot for a company that did vegetables and whatnot. The Jolly Green Giant. Ho ho ho. Yeah, you're right. Totally random. Anyway, I love this book.
Yeah.
Lots of questions. It looks gorgeous. Lots of questions. We've moved forward, but it seems like we haven't moved forward a whole lot, but I don't know. I don't mind that. Next issue doesn't come out until February.
Ouch.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's their big break, and that's a big break. 4 months. So I don't know how much we'll be scratching our heads when it comes back, because there's a lot going on. You got the wherever the old people, are hunting these girls down, and they're literally in 1980. They're literally in 2016, and they're literally zapping up every teenage child there is. Every teenage girl, they are zapping up into their ship and putting them inside of a glass aquarium, because I think they're trying to find the right girls. And so they're literally 2016 in this city. They're literally just sucking up every single teenager there is. It's nuts. So, but very cool. It's a good book. What else?
I picked up Eclipse.
Oh, number 2.
Number 2. Yep. This is 2 of 4. I just noticed it because it says it on the back. Because I thought about, I don't know how long I want to stay on this book. But 4 issues is
4
just
issues,
right.
Yeah.
It is a murder mystery where everybody has to be below ground because the sun can bake you to death. They do find somebody who is walking the surface, so the mayor of the city sends these police / firefighters / people who can survive in the suits out to get them, and there's a chase, and this guy is smart. He corners them in this big factory where he smashes windows and the glass, and that starts baking them alive. They hunt him down, and they see that he has a priest collar on, and they chase him finally to this one church where the church's windows have all been smashed, and everybody who was inside for protection has been, and that's where they leave us. So it's all right. I could see why a lot of these books should only run 4 issues. I mean, it's good. It seems basic, and as soon as you get the answer, it is done. Perfect.
Sure.
So, and this is Image Top Cow. So
cool.
Yeah.
That means I shouldn't have to wait very long to get the trade then.
No, not at all. Because they're even. On the back of this, it's like send in your art to get issue number 4, and then of course in the trade, and they're basically even telling you buy it and trade.
Sure. Well, I know that long term, that's where the creator's money is at. is in. You sell the singles to hope to pay off what you kind of owe, Image. I don't know exactly with Top Cow involved how much they're backing whatever's going on, but you use that kind of a thing, and then whatever. In the comments, Blackpool is saying Eclipse is now an ongoing story. So if you're still listening to this, Blackpool, when did that change? Did that change at New York Comic Con? Is that where they got announced? Kind of thing. Maybe they decided it was an ongoing because it's selling well enough that they had other stories to tell if people are willing to read it. Or are they going to turn into something half-baked because, now. I mean, I think a lot of these writers tell a lot of these stories with the idea there is more I could tell, but I'm gonna sell to the company this original idea, and if it takes off well enough, then I have more to go with, kind of a thing.
Huh.
That way you're safe either way. That way you don't end up with with Secret Identities where the last issue you cram, what would have probably been 3 years worth of stories into a single issue. Yeah, announced on October 5th. So the day before New York Comic Con is what Blackpool is saying. So,
all right.
So I guess you read it to issue 4, Mike, which would have been the original story, and see whether or not it's a good thing to go on, or if that was a good place to stop. I mean, because
I don't know.
Because there's things like Sheriff of Babylon that was originally 8 issues. By the time we hit 8, we're going, man, I want more. So. Yeah. Okay. Who knows? Clearly, this is not setting necessarily well with Mike. He was happy with the 4 issues. Now you've told him that. Now he's thinking about jumping ship now. So.
Yeah. Okay. Because I could see why other books that we've read, have maybe popped in 1 or 2 things that made you go, what was that? Or wow, that was crazy. This seems really basic. I mean, it really feels that in 4, you get the whole story. That's how I feel. So.
Right. All the nuts and bolts are there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think this turns into like a dystopic Walking Dead type, or just the whole civilization is like the story and just kind of just gets drug on for forever type of thing? And
because right now it's a murder mystery set in a sci-fi environment, right? Did you catch that, Mike? It's a murder mystery.
Yeah, it's really all about the murder mystery. I feel as soon as we find out why the one guy survived, who can kill people, sunlight, I really feel that that's the only thing that's keeping me here, and I don't care any more than 4 issues about that. So,
right, the world in itself and or the characters don't make it worth the read past that. I see what you're saying.
No, yeah,
yeah. Let's see. I got Shade the Changing Girl. Anybody else pick up Shade the Changing Girl? The next of the Young Animals books. I absolutely loved it. I mean, absolutely loved it. Everything about it was pretty well perfect for a first issue. It starts out kind of crazy. You get some kind of poetry going on in it, and there's somebody else rambling about this poetry and this poem and this situation. And while that's happening, there's a girl laying in a hospital bed. There's some weird lights going on around her. And suddenly she gets up and some of the boxes are like, oh my God, she's been in a coma. She's brain dead. How is she getting up? How is she moving around? And it starts out kind of nutty, which, works out really well as you go into it. You find out that she was part of this group of kids. They were synchronized swimmers. She was one of these synchronized swimmers. And we get some flashbacks of her hanging out with some friends, her boyfriend. She's kind of awful. This young girl is kind of awful. While we're getting those flashbacks, we also have this character who is from a different dimension. And she idolizes, I can't remember his name. Basically, she idolizes the original Shade the Changing Man. It is who she idolizes. And there used to be this Shade program where their universe would put on this meta vest, and they would travel across the universes and explore this different stuff and embrace, and deal with madness and that sort of thing. And they've shut it down. It's in a museum, and she's basically this Loma character who's this crazy looking bird creature here. She basically, her boyfriend is the security of this museum, and she gets in there and cons him into letting her try on the jacket. She pretty much is a self-described dreamer and also a self-described loser, as far as she can't hold a job, she can't stay in school, she's kind of flunking everything kind of stuff. But boy, she'd really love to be one of these shade people if they still existed. She tricks him into letting her try on the jacket. When she tries on the jacket, she immediately uses it to teleport herself to Earth. She's heard these great things about Earth. She watches this sitcom family show that's being played on Earth. So she thinks this is going to be great to go there and experience the Earth life. Well, she lands in the body of this girl that's in a coma. She quickly starts to figure out, you know what? This place is nothing like that TV show. Because, of course, since when is the real world anything like, your family sitcom show? So she's possessed this body, and she's trying to live with her parents, who her parents are freaking out because they're buried in bills from they were getting ready to pull the plug. They were literally signing the papers to have the plug pulled on her because she was being kept alive on machines. But now that this person has possessed this girl's body, she's back alive and whatnot. And we start finding out this girl that she's possessed was like a holy terror. She was like the snotty, popular girl at school. She kind of terrorized everybody else, ran the roost. But how she ended up in a coma is that she was at this swim party, and she takes way too much drugs. She starts to OD. She starts to drown, and everybody, including her boyfriend, leave her in the lake to drown and just pick up all the stuff and leave. So clearly they don't like her, and they've suddenly found out that she's alive, and she's walking around. She's coming back to school. Oh my God, she might want to be on the swim team again. Oh my God, she might want her boyfriend back, and they're all freaking out. But of course, she knows nothing she kind of can tap into the memories of the body she's riding around in, but not really. So all kinds of craziness is going to happen. The art is superb. The art is it reminds me of old school in a very good way. Vertigo, book. It's cool. I don't know. Like I said, I just really like it. It hits all the right things for me as far as being kind of a strange, kind of a book. I'm really excited about all the Young Animal books now. Super excited. I think like next week or the week after that, we get the Cave Carson book, which I have no idea what that's going to be like, but I'm still looking forward to it now. And I'm even really excited for the Mother Panic book, the book that's set in Gotham, and how that's going to be and whatnot. So, first two of the Young Animal stuff has been lots of fun. But I will say this: I'm a huge fan of the original Shade the Changing. Well, the second volume of Shade the Changing Man. I don't actually own any of the Steve Ditko original Shade the Changing Man first volume stuff, but I own most of the pre-Vertigo Shade the Changing Man. I really liked it. It has the same sort of vibe, but is its own thing. So
the only thing I know about Shade is when he was with the Dark, Justice League Dark.
Justice League Dark, right?
And that seems to not touch on this at all.
Well, that guy that was in that is who this character is idolizing.
Okay.
He's actually from another place. He uses the madness vest to get himself to Earth, and he kind of deals in madness and fights madness and manipulates madness and stuff like that. Was a bit of a poet. She views herself as a poet. I mean, that's another reason why I like this book also too, because the poetry vibe of it. But they don't really. I mean, it's not like it really is a address. They don't reference, his experience in any of that.
Yeah,
he's only in it in the fact that he's like, it would be like if we went to the museum and they had George Washington's wig and original jacket there. and if you idolize that, you might want to try those things on. It's that sort of a thing. Except in this case, that jacket literally is what kind of gives them the power to manipulate and manipulate madness and to come to Earth and that sort of stuff. So the character's there, but yeah, it's not. And then that character that was in the Justice League Dark is a fair representation of part of what that character was towards the end of the book, of the run that was in the 80s and 90s. Because if I don't know how much that you remember, he was kind of a head case in that. He had that imaginary girlfriend and whatnot. And that's typical stuff for that character and these characters, because like I said, they deal in madness, so half the time they're a head case. So
all
righty, anything else?
Did you pick up Moonshine?
Yes, I did. Moonshine #1. Brian Orizio written and Eduardo Rizzo on art. These guys are a team for lots of stuff. These two guys team up together have done quite a few books. They did Her Bullets and Spaceman, and they've done some Batman issues together. Batman or Detective, I can't remember which. But
Batman,
right? Yeah.
Broken City.
Yeah, right. So this is set in like 1929, clearly during Prohibition. I don't know, mid-level mobster guy has been sent, who is an alcoholic, clearly, has been sent from New York by the boss down to the backwoods of Virginia, right? Because there's a moonshiner, West Virginia. Because there's a moonshiner there that just makes the smoothest stuff there is to drink, and they want to pay him to make the moonshine for them. Move up. It almost sounds like they wanted to move up to New York to mass produce this stuff because they're just going to make tons and tons of money and whatnot. So he is down there in basically the backwoods. They kind of imply it's the backwoods. They're the Hicks, kind of a thing, and he's a city slicker, and he's trying to convince this guy to come to work for the boss. And there's your FBI agents are in there busting the moonshiners or whatever. They get wrecked by something. There's lots of gore at one point or another, and our moonshiners are not as dumb as what they portray themselves to be. They portray themselves as being kind of the hillbillies. They're not really, at least the main people aren't. They're pretty sharp, and there's something else going on. I mean, I know it's not shown in the book. I know it's werewolf driven, to some degree. What's the long play here? I don't know. I love the art. I love the coloring. The artist does all the coloring himself. I've always kind of liked his style and the way he does stuff. So, I like it for that. What'd you think, Luke?
I thought it was okay. I will say the last couple pages felt like a totally different vibe from the rest of the story you were getting into.
Oh, sure. So yeah, towards the end of it, there were some moments that were really awkward as we get towards the end anyway, where he's with the moonshiners, and it goes from seeming like there might be a business plan, come along with this, we'll show you how this all works. And then after he sees the aftermath of the feds had tried busting one of these stills and the guys are all butchered, then suddenly it just kind of really changed it. And he suddenly was suddenly hostile towards the guy.
Yeah. Don't mess with us. This is what happens.
Right. You better get out of here, boy. So the guy kind of leaves in a panic. And to some degree, I guess it's that kind of stereotypical, you've just encountered the hillbillies. You're trying to get out of the mountains now. And, he gets the equivalent of a flat tire, wanders off the road, and has wandered into a camp of, I don't know, sharecropper type things. They you know, it's you know, some African Americans having a party, a hoedown. They're you know, playing music and dancing and having a good time, and he kind of shows up and it's kind of the skeezy, I'm the white guy and I can have what I want, right? Doesn't you kind of get the impression at the very end? It's like, I want a drink for starters, as he's eyeballing the, you know, semi-attractive, wild, you know, African American woman that's been dancing around the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. How long did they say how long this is?
Nope.
I don't know.
Right? Well, let's just say I don't know how long it can go as far as the story goes. I mean, you look at the basics here. Either he's going to convince them to run the moonshine or they're not. He's going to fight werewolves or he's going to get turned into a werewolf. I mean, granted, the writers could surprise us is where it's going to go as far as that goes. But yeah, I'm going to hang around for a few issues. I mean, there's nothing like blew my mind in it other than I really like the art. I mean, I really do. I like the art style. You know, when he's out in the dark, it's these cool grays and whatnot, the occasional, you know, sunsetty kind of thing. You know, when he gets where the fire and the dancing's at, you know, it's these, you know, hot colors. But there's no redeemable characters in this right now. If the main character we're supposed to be, that I'm assuming we're supposed to be invested in, you know, he's an, you know, he's an alcoholic. So far, we haven't seen him as a bad drunk, but he's clearly somebody who drinks himself into oblivion. He considers himself a ladies' man, but the way he goes about trying to hit on one of the ladies is kind of makes you feel like you need to wash your hands afterwards. And granted, maybe he's a man of the era because it is 1920s, and clearly there's rampant racism during this time and whatnot. You know, but when he shows up at the end of this thing, you know, these people are minding their own business, seem to be having a good time or having a party. This may all bite him in the ass, though, these people. But part of me is concerned that this is going to be very stereotypical and that, oh, these people are practicing voodoo or something because they're fighting off the werewolves. They're going to screw with him, too. There's aspects in this book that make me feel somewhat uncomfortable from a socially responsible aspect. I mean, because at the end of this, where he's, like I said, I want the drink for starters, and he's giving her kind of the leery eyeball. Like the white girl that was at the beginning of this, he's trying to hit on her crudely, but is following some level of decorum and convention. Whereas you almost feel like, to me anyway, reading this book at the end of this, it's like, I want this, and you don't have a choice in the matter almost, of the way, you know, with the look on his face and stuff. I don't know. And maybe I'm reading more into it than that, but I don't know. I don't know. Clearly, I will. You know, I buy a few issues in advance, so I'm going to be getting it for a few issues.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those. It's on my shelf pull list.
Right. You come in. Yeah. Right. You may get the next issue. Yeah. And that's how I would be with it too. If I could walk into the shop, it'd be one of those things. I'd walk in, hope I could pull it off the shelf. And at any moment, if it started to really tip in a direction I don't want it to go, kind of a thing. Like I said, I really like the art, though. That's always my draw. You know, he's on the book. I'm always inclined to pick it up. He's the artist for that Paul Dini kind of bio book too, right? Yeah, and he kind of and he really changes his art style through that depending on what's going on in the book. So the guy's a talented artist, I think. So, yeah. Any other books anybody want to talk about?
I got Cannibal. Anyone else pick up Cannibal?
I didn't. I decided I wasn't sure on the premise of it. I thought I would give it a skip just because I'm getting so many, you know, image type books and whatnot. I heard some people really liked it. What do you think?
It's the art almost has a little bit of the Son of the Devil type of feel, a little bit. So the art's pretty good. I think as far as the story concept, I think you have more potential with this than Moonshine. But I mean, from my experience with this especially with Buccellato, it's like you get some good stories, but then I don't know if it's just the artist, his indie stuff, they go on like long hiatuses. So, I mean, it's good. It's basically what happens is that there's bulls and there's a kid, and the kids end up getting eaten. I guess it's sort of like a virus or something's going around the city where they're dealing with people who just they're cannibals. These zombies, but they're cannibals, and get toward the end, and the city just they become like a mob. They're going after the guy who killed the little kid, and they end up getting him inadvertently. But there's some other side characters in there, and it's okay. It's just another one. It didn't blow me away. It wasn't bad. It just, yeah. I don't know. It has like a Walking Dead type of feel to it. Where I think I see where this is going to go. Is now cannibals, and you got these small pockets of people. I don't know. It's not bad. I don't know though. Another one is it's on a short leash. So.
Sure. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of books out there, and if they don't blow you away, it's kind of hard to, to get in when
read. I mean, we got a second wave of Rebirth coming. I mean, who else knows what's coming?
Sure, right? Yeah, for sure. Another book that I picked up that's new, Shipwreck. This is an Aftershocks comic. I know this is a miniseries. I can't remember if it's 6 or 8 issues. It is written by Warren Ellis, art by Phil Hester. I'm a fan of both of those guys. Both work and just personally, the stuff they do and whatnot. Phil Hester is just a great guy in general. Most people maybe right now know him as a writer. He wrote Mythic. He tried to pick up the pieces from the of Wonder Woman when they gave her pants back when Wonder Woman was in the 600s, kind of thing. He took over there to try and save that sinking ship that was going on at the time there. But art-wise, if you've read a lot of Green Arrow, he did a huge chunk of Green Arrow with Kevin Smith and Brad Metzler. So art-wise, his art's a little different in this because he has an inker instead of inking his own stuff, because when he started this book out, he didn't get very far into it, and he had one of his eyes, he had a cornea transplant. He realized he's kind of going blind, and so they did a cornea transplant. One of the eyes, he's going to be having another one here. I think get the other one done soon too. So halfway through this book, part of this book is done with different eyes than the other one. I just think that's interesting from a pure, craftsmanship standpoint. That to me, that's just mind blowing that you'd get basically the equivalent of a whole new eye, and somehow you still keep your work and whatnot. So I just think that's cool. Anyway, the art is cool in it. It is pretty gory. Here's a lady frying up her boyfriend's eyeballs. Oh. Right there. Yeah. So story-wise, the thing is really kind of crazy. This guy kind of wakes up. He's laying down. There's a bird flying away with an eyeball. You're not sure, oh, crap, whose eyeball is it or whatever. And you're not sure, the thing's called, Shipwreck. He's following this flock of, I don't know, scavenger birds or whatever this person is. He's got one damaged hand that's all wrapped up. Everything seems pretty isolated and stuff. He wanders into this diner, meets a guy who seems like a policeman. They go over a certain amount of stuff with this investigator. This investigator is supposedly helping him. And it's more talking about who he is. He seems to be a guy who's like a natural, like super genius, having to do with like interdimensional kind of theories and physics and stuff like that. He's kind of avoided what he thinks is going to happen, does a bunch of stuff with his life, and then ends up getting roped into the Air Force and ends up being on this special group of scientists that work for the Air Force that are working on some either special type of travel or special weapon or something like that. We're not exactly sure. He's on this ship the ship goes flying somewhere and then it crashes, and he's the only survivor of this ship. And he knows that the ship was somehow sabotaged, but he can't put all the pieces together because he's kind of like disoriented. He's suffering from a certain amount of dementia and not knowing where he is. We don't know exactly what's going on with where he's at because it looks very abandoned. It looks very almost like a wasteland. I mean, the diner that he wanders into is half broken down. He has some special abilities. He actually phases through this. There's this kitchen he's trying to get into to escape this detective that keeps harassing him about stuff. He can't get through, but he actually phases through the wall. He has something that makes he can create like a portal, and he literally walks through the wall. And when he gets on the other side of the wall, there's this girl in there, and I showed you a picture of her. She's frying up her boyfriend's eyeballs, and she's ranting about the fact that her boyfriend is getting ready to go away to culinary school. She paid for his apartment. She paid for his airline tickets to France to do all this stuff. Now he's going to probably leave me. You know, I hate him for all this stuff. And you find out that she's basically cooking parts of him, and he's laying off to one side with a whole bunch of cleavers stuck in him and stuff. She threatens to kill our main character too, who his name is like Shipwright or something like that is his last name. And he's like, look, I'd leave, but I can't leave. You know, I'm going to have to unbar the door to get out of here because I can't teleport back through. It takes me like 10 minutes for it to recharge. She's threatening to kill him. He kind of defends himself. She slips and falls. Anyway, she falls on her own knife, drives it through her own head. All these people are dead. He goes running off from this scene in kind of a panic. And he goes back to following this. After he freaks out, runs back outside, the detective's gone. All that's left on the dining room table of this diner where he was at is a note that says there's a rescue mission. And he takes that and he goes back off to wandering. He leaves the diner and goes back wandering off, following these scavenger birds. And I love the fact that the telephone poles almost look like crosses off into the distance. It's one of those stories. It's like reading it's like watching the Twilight Zone, except it's a really long episode of Twilight Zone, and you've watched the first 15 minutes, so you're in that kind of head spin. What the hell is going on? Kind of a thing. That's what the first issue is. The first issue kind of gives you enough stuff to go to kind of cement a few ideas, but largely leaves you with what the hell is going on. I liked it. I really liked the art.
Feels to me.
Go ahead.
Like the some of the Gunslinger series ones of the comics, because it is that exploration of like dimensions and realms. So I mean, it's outside of a normal. I like that idea, but it's definitely got to be something you have to be in the mindset of when you pick it up.
Right. Because yeah, it is a trippy book. I mean, it's not, it's not linear. It's leaving lots of mysteries. You're suffering along with our main character, with the dementia, because you don't know anything. There's not anything. The only thing you're left with is whatever they tell you, and beyond that, you don't. You just don't know, kind of a stuff. And there's weird stuff. I mean, because he talks about, there's this scene where these spiders are pouring out and whatnot, and he talks about there being something, that messed with their mission and whatnot. And clearly, he's got this one hand that's red and bandaged and whatnot, but it doesn't seem to, he looks like he's in distress, but it's not like that hand in particular is any extra wound or anything like that. And like I said, and he's got these kind of funky abilities to do stuff. So, what exactly is going on? I love this. I mean, it's gory, but I love it. Where she literally, the pan gets knocked over. She slips on one of her boyfriend's eyeballs and falls and gets a meat skewer through the head. So, so fun stuff. But yeah, I liked it. I mean, knowing it's short, I think I'm going to enjoy it. And it's one of those books that's my kind of book. I'll read it and just kind of go along for the ride until it starts to make more sense. It wasn't off-putting or dumb. It just leaves a lot of who knows what's going on kind of questions. So yeah. I've got a few other books, but I don't need to probably talk about them. I talk about them at a later date or whatnot. Anything else we want to chat about indie wise?
No.
No.
Well, we got like 2 weeks and Walking Dead starts back up as far as that kind of thing goes, right?
I think next week they're having like a 2-hour special on. So I think it's like a recap type of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know that I'm looking forward to this season. Negan is so awful that. Yeah, I don't know. I'll watch it. I'll watch it and be miserable the entire time I'm watching it, I guess. So.
I think there wasn't.
Go ahead, Mike.
There was an announcement that Sigourney Weaver is probably going to be the villain for the Defender series.
Yeah. I don't know what villain that is, but that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like her as an actress. I do know, for anybody who's reading Lucifer, the current writer on the book is moving on to something else, and they're picking up a new writer. Somebody else I think is new to comics, but writes a series of books. I'm drawing a blank now what they're called. So what good is my news when I can't tell you the details? But he writes a series of books that have to do with a guy who travels to hell and back and stuff like that. So clearly has some sense of what that's going to be like. So be curious to see how much of that book changes the vibe, how much it changes with a new writer on it, maybe doing something else different with it. So anybody who's reading that book like me, we'll see how that changes the book, if it does at all. I don't remember hearing of any other indie-ish type books that are going to be announced. Well, like I said, April. I heard April's when Black Magic is going to come back by Greg Rucka and Nicola Scott. That still seems like a really, really long time away. But but I know that's clearly I'm assuming the artist is going to take a break, and then she's got a lot of pages to get in the book. Because for that book, she uses a different art style a little bit, and she does not just the pencil, she's doing the inking and kind of. She does all of the wash. She doesn't add the color, a little bit of color that's in that book, but she does all the other, shading of it and whatnot. So I'm assuming takes a little more of her time than doing some of the other stuff. So I'm sure she's got a bigger head start on it. So yeah, I can't think of any other indie-ish type stuff.
Well,
I haven't looked ahead to see what's coming out. Next week, anything outstanding coming up next week?
Patrol number 2.
Sweet.
Not a fan, but I've been looking forward to it. Reborn. That's that Capullo Millar.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that comes out next week.
Okay. Yeah, as I say, I haven't. I didn't get that because I don't trust Millar, I guess.
Yeah. American Vampire Anthology number 2.
Holy is that finally coming out? Because that originally was solicited.
Yeah, it's just I think it's just like a one shot, but anything American Vampire, holy cow! It's been
well, yeah, but that anthology's got a bunch of people, doing stories and art in it. But I originally, I don't know if I'm getting that because I did I kind of get the American Vampire stuff kind of haphazardly, but I did originally order that, and then they withdrew the order and said they're going to resolicit it. And I don't remember if I actually got it the next time around when it was resolicited. But that was almost like 6 to 8 months ago that thing originally was supposed to come out. So,
Lost Boys.
Oh yeah, first issue of that, huh?
Right.
You picking that up, Luke?
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, my shop better not screw that one up.
Right?
Red Hood, yep, good.
Oh, so Red Hood. So that'll be the issue where we probably finally get to see Bizarro?
Oh, I hope so.
Does All-Star Batman come out too?
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see, Indy Black Monday Murders. Ooh, that's number 2. Oh, I'm sorry, number 3.
Number 3, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I've been told that's 12 issues.
Yeah. Hey, I'm.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Killer Be Killed, number 3.
3. Mm-hmm.
Jeez, oh man, this is gonna. See, this is where it's gonna start getting me. There's gonna be those weeks where it's just like
everything comes out, right? Yeah, Lazarus, Monsters. Yeah, it's gonna be a big week for me. That's Black Science. Yeah, it's gonna be scary.
So, Travis, you did not pick up The Cage by
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, I decided against that. It was kind of, it looked like it was flirting more with being kind of the like in the vein of a black exploitive kind of thing from like the 1970s, but it kind of misses the why that kind of stuff worked kind of thing. Right. So I don't know. Plus the fact that I was kind of like you with the fact that when I was getting Power Man, Iron Fist, I feel like I'm already getting enough of that I don't need more of it per se.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no. Not getting that at all.
Old Man Logan number 12 for me.
What is Mosaic? Any idea? It's a Marvel book. I've seen the ad.
Professional basketball player, with a world-renowned celebrity. So gains extraordinary ability to his own mortal body. So no, I have no idea what that means.
So a totally new kind of a thing. Okay.
It seems that way, yeah.
Okay. That's why I was confused by it. I was like, I was trying to figure out.
And then some of the Deadpool spin-offs, like Solo and some of them are starting to come out too.
Sure. Yeah, looks like it's going to be a good week.
Sheriff of Babylon, yeah.
See, number 11. Oh, we're so close to the end of that.
I know.
Oh boy, Suicide Squad number 4. Are you finally done, or are you picking that one up?
I'll flip through it and I'll probably cave, but I'm hoping to be done.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm positive I've got that issue coming at least. We'll see what comes after that, but yeah, good stuff. Or not, as the case may be. So he's an Inhuman body hopper. I'm assuming that's the Mosaic thing we're talking about. So
all right.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I'll listen to see other people talk about it because I didn't pick up on it at all. So, alrighty, well I think we're done for the night then. Thank you guys for coming on and talking comics. Come back next week and we'll talk some more comics. Thank you guys for being in the comments and talking in the comments and helping us out on some of that information that we did not know. Always makes it nice when there's other eyes and ears to help us keep it all straight, so we're not misinforming anybody. Thank you anybody who watches this after the fact. Always appreciate it. And those of you comment, always appreciate it also. And I'm sure we'll be back next week. Until then, have a great one, everybody.